Greetings, and welcome to House of R, a Ringerverse podcast on the Ringer Podcast Network. I'm Mallory Rubin. Joining me today, wrapped in a chunky knit sweater robe in her favorite treehouse hideaway, it's Joanna Robinson.
I texted you two things to look out for, did I not, during your viewing of it? And one of them was that chunky sweater, which I have a lot to say about. I have so much to say about it.
I can't wait to hear it all. We are here today, of course, to dive into Wicked, for Good, aka Wicked Part 2. We will be talking about scarecrow wigs, chunky knit sweaters, musical numbers, themes,
Incel Tin Men,
all of it right after this.
This episode of House of R is presented by Target. Have you heard? Stranger Things is back at Target, and it's time to gear up for the Upside Down.
Head back to the 80s with awesome exclusives like the Unreal Demogorgon popcorn bucket, the fog over Hawkins candle that reveals secret messages, and the Demogorgon bundle box that's full of cool surprises.
New items are dropping all season long, so prepare for one last adventure at Target.
Okay, Joe. Before
Mallory,
we dive into Wicked for Good, a few quick programming reminders. Slightly different schedule next week, both in terms of volume and publish day, because it is a holiday week. So we will have one pod next week. But it's Stranger Things season 5 time. And so we will have a pod next week. We will be starting our season 5 coverage.
Yes.
Our plan and our intention is to do a couple pods on season 5, volume 1. So you'll be getting the part 1 on volume 1 of season 5.
Netflix isn't the only one who can milk this.
Our hope and our plan is to put that up on Wednesday night. So after you watch this is a 4-episode drop for the first volume of Stranger Things. After you watch the first 2 episodes, come listen to the pod. And then coming out of the holiday weekend, we will be back top of the following week to pod about episodes 3 and 4. We are so excited to dive into season 5 together, catch up on our seasons 1 through 4 revisited pods if you haven't yet. And then in the back half of the post-holiday week, we will be continuing the Best of the Century So Far series. We will be podding about, as mentioned a couple times recently, best fights, battles, duels, verbal spats, arguments, emotionally devastating, soul-rending sequences
Wands versus broomsticks. You know what I mean?
I mean,
it's say
we have a new contender, I think.
It can make the list.
It's entirely possible it can make the list. So keep the nominations coming. The Bad Babies have been emailing suggestions already. Keep them coming. The inbox is open, hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com.
You guys have been sending some really good ones. Send all of those. And also, I would say your Stranger Things theories. I would love, like, for part 2 of volume 1, because we're going to have this, like, fun space of time between Thanksgiving and Christmas when we get to speculate about what's going to happen in the back half of Stranger Things. So I want those Stranger Things theories from everyone.
Yes. A fun space of time where we will not be potting over holidays, but it's a finite, contained space of time where we will not be potting over holidays. So let's fill it with theories. I love it.
I love it.
Great idea. Joanna.
Yes.
We already mentioned how people can email us. How can everybody follow along?
I'm so glad you asked. Listen, why don't you just subscribe to the podcast? I think that's a really good idea. Subscribe to our podcast, to the Ringerverse, to every single Ringer podcast if you want to. Who's to say? On whatever podcatcher you choose. Follow us on social, whichever social media platform you choose. That is entirely your choice. And we will be there with some social assets for you. You can hear Chris Ryan talk about the sea and how dope it is on our Instagram, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. That's all true. You can watch the pods. That's the thing I forgot to talk about. Listen, our beautiful shining faces are here to talk to you about Wicked. We might even sing. We already sang before we started recording. We might sing again. It might happen. Mallory loves to sing Nemaka. That's her favorite song. So we might sing. So you can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Spotify app. You can watch us on Samsung TV, et cetera, et cetera. So those are all the things that I would suggest. You can email us, right? I said everything. Did I do it?
You did it.
Great.
You crushed it.
Look at me.
Okay. Last programming reminder. It's the spoiler warning. It's the friendly neighborhood spoiler warning. I would say it's like a fairly ample one today because as will come up in our discussion.
Chunky as an inexplicably thick sweater you put on to seduce someone in your treehouse, you know?
I have no notes on the sweater. Actually, I have one note on the sweater, which we'll get to because we have an entire Fit Watch section coming.
It's not the same as my note, but
No,
it's
we
a
have
good note.
we have different notes. The spoiler warning today. Obviously, we're going through everything that happens in Wicked for Good. The new film is on the table today. Anything that happened in that movie could come up today. This is a spoiler-full podcast. There is not a pre-spoiler portion of the podcast. Spoilers from the jump. You've been warned. Yeah. Also, of course, we will be incorporating events from the first Wicked film, which came out this time last year. But that's not all, folks. If it happened in the fabled, beloved, cherished musical, could come up today. If it happened in the novel that inspired the musical, could come up today. If it happened in the original novel,
the Gregory Maguire books, any of the Gregory. I don't need to talk about all the Gregory Maguire Oz books. There are many.
Yeah.
I might reference.
Okay.
If we're going to talk about like, what's the future? Does this movie leave room for a sequel or whatever?
Could come up today.
We can talk about that at the end, maybe.
Okay. L. Frank Baum's original Wizard of Oz novel could come up today. Certainly one of the most important movies in the history of cinema. The Wizard of Oz. Have you heard of it, lads? 1939 film. Could come up today.
Certain I mentioned.
Yeah.
On our previous Wicked coverage, a movie I used to watch over and over and over again while dressed as Dorothy.
I was going to say, my main memory of that is learning that you put on the gingham.
I did. I laughed so hard when we saw the gingham. This was my thought process. We see Dorothy's spoilers. We already issued the spoiler warning.
You're safe. The spoiler warning has been issued. You're good.
I don't know if you know this, but Dorothy's house lands after a tornado in Oz. And we see the gingham curtains flapping. Yeah. And I was like, who the fuck wears the dress the same as their curtains? And then I remember The Sound of Music. And I was like, the Von Trapp family singers do. So I guess if it's good for the Von Trapp family, it's good for the Gale family. So yeah. Auntie M's not letting those bolts of gingham go to waste.
Exactly. Yeah. That roll of fabric it's going towards. I think we probably have like a tablecloth.
Oh, yeah.
Probably some fabric napkins.
Matchkin napkins. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Did you spot any chunky knit, cable knit sweater drapery in Elphaba's treehouse?
No, it was just a unique, one of a kind concoction.
I want that sweater.
No, I should say, in fact, she has like essentially a yarn wall, and yet it's not. There's no yarn on that yarn wall. It's just propaganda and like
save the animal reminders,
big battle plans like save the animals. Just in case you forgot, save the animals.
We love a to-do list.
We
love a calendar reminder here at the House of R. We do. We can't remember anything unless someone slacks us and puts it on our calendar.
That's true.
Retract the critique now.
What was it going to do today? Oh, yes. Save the animals. Right. It's my entire raison d'etre. Of course.
That sweet little flying lemur. He needs you. And if you double booked, he's fucked.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, sorry, I have a pod. I can't save you. One note my sister had, and I didn't, I saw this movie twice. Once with my sister and once at Lucasfilm. You saw it twice as well. At Lucasfilm, it was introduced by the VFX supervisor. So he looked very tired. And he was like, there were so many animals. And please clap for the girl in the bubble because that was very hard.
Oh my.
So that was that experience. When my sister was an entirely different experience. But she was just like, do you think one of the animal designers was Australian? She was like, there was a koala, a kangaroo, a wallaby. I was like, wow.
It's a great question.
I didn't clock them all, but my sister was on the beat. So yeah.
Morgan.
Investigative journalist, Morgan Robinson.
Morgan. I love it. Okay. Programming reminders dispensed, spoiler warning issued, a keen geographical insight from a family member shared. Believe that takes us to the opening snapshot.
I think that's check. Save the animals. Do a podcast.
I wonder if everybody listening at home thinks we've just been hitting the elixir, down to the last few pods before the holiday break.
It's not a bad idea. You might see me, on the Stranger Things pod. Those bottles were the exact kind of thing that I love to have, little colorful little pretty bottles.
Yeah.
So.
Also a green liquor, real, Battlestar Ambrosia vibes.
Oh, I was thinking the Green Fairy, Absinthe, Moulin Rouge.
Also valid.
Musicals and genre together in one movie? Let's do it. Let's go.
Do it. Okay. Quick facts for Wicked, for good. This is, of course, the sequel to the smash hit Wicked Part 1. Like the first film, this movie is directed by John M. Chu, screenplay by Winnie Holzman and Dana Fox, and it is based on the Stephen Schwartz and Winnie Holzman musical, Cherished Adored, and, as mentioned, Gregory Maguire's 95 novel, Wicked. The runtime of this movie is 137 minutes.
Unforgivable 137 minutes.
Shorter than the first movie. But then you do the math on the total runtime, and it is girthy. It's
chunky
ample.
as an ill-advised sweater.
I suspect the length of these films will be coming up today in our discussion more than once. Let's, we often, when we do our movie pods, Joe, check in on a Sunday, a Monday, sometimes even a Tuesday. For various reasons, we are recording this on a Friday morning. We have both had the pleasure of seeing the movie twice, but what we don't have yet is the full context that we typically have when we sit down to pod on a movie of like how it did on its opening weekend. What we do have are some early indicators, some early responses, and some projections. So very quickly here, let's hit some of this. The budget for this movie was $150 million. The opening weekend projections, which could radically change over the next couple days. So these are just kind of like early, and the ranges are pretty big, but I will say all on the, wow, that's a lot of money side.
Sure is, yeah.
Depending on where you're reading or what you're looking at, you can see anything on the projection front right now from $125 million for opening weekend to $200 million. I would say that 150 to 180 seems to be like the most commonly projected range, but there's a chance this movie makes $200 million on opening weekend. Reportedly, the movie has already made, from the Monday through Thursday previews, this is per deadline, $30.8 million already. This is a lot of money. The first film, just as a reminder, made a fuckload of money as well. It made $758 million, $474 million domestic, which was a record for a Broadway adaptation, for a stage-to-screen film adaptation. So it seems like this movie is going to perform at the box office, barring something astonishing. Perhaps there is a week 1 to week 2 dip coming.
Yeah. So
is that what you're anticipating?
Well, I don't know. This is a big question I have. It was always going to be huge in opening because people had such a fun time last year going to Wicked, around the holiday, bring the kids, et cetera, go repeatedly, go to a sing-along version, like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So my question is, will this have the same legs on it that the first one did? Because we're going to talk about the tonal differences. We're going to talk about all of that sort of stuff. And like, is it, are you like, come on, kids, let's go see them drop a house on someone? Like, is that the vibe this year? So I have questions about repeat viewings, but it is undoubtedly going to make a ton of money, and it is undoubtedly going to make just have a huge opening weekend, like no question. But I still don't know. Like, you went to a general population screening last night. I went to the second screening I went to was still technically like a quote unquote press screening, but it was like a mixed, and there were a bunch of like kids there and people in cosplay. And I'm sort of hoping to get like my understanding of what because I know what the critics think. Yeah. And I was curious, like, what do the people think? And I could not get a beat on it from that particular. I think it's because before it started, one of the guys who runs the SF screenings went up and he was like, "This is not a sing-along. Do not sing." So I think that might have put like a damper on like people's like joie de vivre watching this movie. But I couldn't get a bead on if it's going to be the same difference that I saw when I saw Wicked with the press and then with like a general audience.
Do you intend to go a third time to find out?
I'm curious.
Yeah.
I might
do some boots on the ground reporting, do some field research. I'll share my anecdotal evidence from my one experience seeing it with the Gen Pop. So we had the Ringerverse crew, LA division, LA bureau. I missed you. Missed you as always. Also, it was just pouring buckets of rain and everyone was soaked and miserable. And as you know, because
LA
I texted,
is-
I almost left the screening because I was in such a bad mood and we had front row seats. And then Steve Allman came to the rescue and found us better seats. And I was so grateful.
I watched that group chat from afar, like a meme of like someone outside a window. From what I understand, LA does not work when it rains.
That is correct.
Seems to be okay. Great.
That is correct.
Good to know.
So everyone was working through that. But so we went to the media screening on Monday. This was my first time. I've lived in Los Angeles for 12 years now. This was my first time seeing a movie at Universal City Walk ever. I have made it 12 years in LA without having that experience. It was a unique one to do that in the downpour, in the deluge. There were a lot of people dressed up for that screening and people who were clearly very hyped to be there. And that crowd experience was, I would say, electric, which had in part because when you have the privilege of watching a movie with Van, it's just a unique experience always. And it's the best. It's just like so memorable and wonderful. But everybody in the theater was so engaged, cheering, whooping, sounds that indicated some sort of emotional response. It was like a really gripped audience. And that definitely had a bearing on how I felt about seeing it for the first time.
When Fierro ditches Glinda on their wedding day for Elphaba, did Van repeat his performance from Dune Part 2?
Nothing can match the Dune Part 2 shit, obviously. As I said to Sean on a call the other day, and I've said to both you and Arjuna before, if at some point in our Best of the Century So Far podcast series, we decide to do best movie theater moments of the century so far, with regrets to
Avengers Endgame
and to Captain America who wielded Mjolnir, I will be picking seeing Dune Part 2 with Van. At the moment when he stood up and shouted, "Oh shit," because nothing will ever match it. So that crowd was great, even though that was the screening. I went to just the movies last night here in LA, and it was full. And as I looked around for, IMAX, of course, I had waited too long. That's on me. IMAX gone, Dolby gone.
Sold
of
out.
Course,
yeah.
there's a huge crowd. Every theater was full. The theater I went to was full. I would describe the crowd as incredibly muted, even though they were there night one prime time. Incredibly muted. There were a couple people. There were a couple people around me who were like openly weeping and sobbing and seemed very moved by it. But moments that in the first screening I went to drew like real laughter or some sort of spark of response. Silence.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised by that. I will say, though, and we can get into the early critic and fan response here, that doesn't necessarily seem like an indicator of the early fan response, which, our old friend, the tomato meter and the popcorn meter, we never put any stock in it at all, and yet we mention it.
Every time.
Much to your chagrin. This movie is checking in currently at 70% among critics, 97% among the audience. So the early audience response is very positive. Critics, incredibly divisive film among the critics. We'll talk about that more in a second. The first film, as a point of comparison, 88% among the critics on Rotten Tomatoes, 95% among the audience. That was just more positively reviewed. That's undeniable, I think. Metacritic, 60-90.
I think we're going to see the audience score go down, not like dramatically, but I think we're going to see it go down a bit because, to your point, the people who saw it in these first few days are the people who are just like, the people who've already seen Wicked and it opened last night are like, the diehards, the ride or dies. Though you would expect, our pal Juliet, like there are people who love the stage show who like don't like the movies at all. So, there's that to consider. But yeah, it's interesting to me. I was on record with this, I know, when we talked about the first Wicked movie.
This is committed to the public record.
That Act 2 I have always had questions about because it's like shorter and darker and all of the good songs are in Act 1.
Right.
And so barring for good, which they know is so good they made it the title of the movie.
Banger.
There are songs I like As Long As You're Mine is a song that I like. There are songs that I like in Act 2, but undoubtedly,
no question,
the absolute showstoppers are in Act 1. So I was like, what the fuck are they going to do on the music front in Part 2? What are they going to do with how dark, there's a body count? Like, what are they going to do for like all the kids who loved Go going to Wicked Part 1 last year, like bring the kiddos to Wicked for good. Or maybe I'm just underestimating what kids can tolerate or whatever. But like I was kind of concerned trolling when I saw it with my sister and it was over. I was like, so kids are not going to like that, right? She's like, I don't know. And I was like, Morgan, you're the one who always talks about how kid movies are so scary. And she's like, and so I think her kids are too old. She's no longer as concerned. But like, I don't know. What did you think of like this is me getting maybe ahead of myself over my skis, but like comparing the tone of this movie, they tried to keep it lighter. They added a bunch of animal stuff. They added 2 songs that I frankly don't think work, but we'll talk about them. Like, like all this sort of stuff to try to lighten and lengthen it way too long. Like I understand padding it out because Act 2 is shorter, but I was like, you padded it out to that long? Like, what are you doing? So there's choices they made that work, choices they made that didn't. Ariana and Cynthia are just like wonderful no matter what. But like this was just always going to be a tougher sell, I think, in general, especially like divorced, even though it's only been a year. Divorced from like, if you watch this on the stage, you're like buzzing from Defying Gravity and Popular, stuff like that. And then just like smooths you through Act 2, which is short and dark, but like you're like, I get it as a piece. But to isolate it alone, again, this is just always been something I've been like a little worried about. So, yeah.
If anyone is like, I can't find that commentary. Where is it? You can look for the podcast headline about Gladiator 2.
Oh.
Because we were like, Barbenheimer,
totally normal. 2.
Here we go. Gladiator 2 and
Wicked.
Wicked in the same pod. Click let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, God. That was actually really fun. For us.
Remember Gladiator Part 2? I'm just curious.
I do. I was actually just thinking back to that very recently and really lamenting that movie wasn't better. Sad. It's interesting because Sean, everybody should treat themselves to this week's big picture. I will not attempt to sum up his takes. I will just say he was not a fan of this movie. It will surprise no one to hear.
He hated the first one.
Yes,
so he was never going to like this one,
Right. Which is actually not the same thing as the group of people who really loved the first one and are let down by this or don't think it measures up to that. I think there's also a contingent of people, though, who are like, that first one was like not for me and was like candy coated, like giddy fest that I didn't relate to. This is not me saying that. And they find this to be much more to their liking. So I think what has struck me so far in this is a very like surface level, like kind of, you're scanning the headlines, you're getting a feel for it in the early days. I don't have like a spreadsheet Ben Lindbergh-esque tracker or spider chart to like actually bear this out. But it feels to me like that 70%, and in general, the temperature around the movie is much less a bunch of reviews from people who are like, this is okay. It's much more like there are people who think that this movie is dreadful.
Yeah.
And then there are people who are like, this was kind of I'm vibing with this now. The darker tone, the more serious story. Is it like too heavy or scary for young kids question? So that's why I mentioned Sean, actually. He said that his daughter, who is 4 years old, that this is like instantly one viewing, her favorite movie ever made.
The second one?
Yes.
Great.
And so I mean, does one child indicate how children everywhere will respond to it? No, but I thought that was interesting.
She's a child of the Criterion Collection, so she's like a very special child, but...
Yeah. How many Eggers movies has she already watched?
I don't have kids, so it's like really stupid of me to concern troll over like children, since I'm not constantly monitoring like what children can handle or whatever. I just also think it's like not nearly as good of a movie as the first movie. And I was only mixed positive on the first movie,
right.
But I think this is not nearly as good for a number of reasons. But Ariana and Cynthia are just like transcendent.
Yeah.
Ariana particularly. Cynthia, here's the thing. It's like, I'm getting ahead of everything.
No.
But like,
no. Let's get into the opening snapshot take. Tell us how you felt about the movie.
I think that a lot of baffling choices were made, but I'm excited to have another monoculture moment. I'm excited. I'm like excited for all the lead up. Like, I'm excited to listen to Ariana on Amy Poehler's podcast. I'm excited. I liked the sort of like live show that they did, that they aired on like NBC and Peacock like last week, or 2 weeks ago, whenever that was. It was fun to go to like both of the screenings that I went to. It was fun to see everyone in their cosplay. Like there's like an event aspect around Wicked that has less to do with the quality of the movie and more to do with just like everyone watched the same thing. They all can have opinions on it. This is just like my constant beating the drum for the monoculture. Like I just like when we're all talking about the same thing together. And we're headed into Stranger Things and like that's exciting too. So like that independent of the movie is its own thing that I like have some fondness for. But I also liked at the end of both of my screenings, both with my friend Amy, who went to see it with me the first time, and my sister, is we just sort of both times sunk low in our seats and just giggled over the things that we thought were like, that was the best look they came up with for Fiyero? Really? Like, you know, we were giggling over the things that we thought they got like quite wrong. So I think even less than Wicked, this is going to be a movie that I'll like want to revisit on my own. Mm-hmm. But as like a thing for us to talk about for the rest of the year, I'm glad it exists. Does that make sense at all? I don't know.
Of course. Absolutely. Here, let me take you through a quick daily clock tick. I'll just give one clock tick here to take you through my daily experience with consuming and receiving and then like thinking about this movie. Because it's been there has been daily variance for me in a way that is I found interesting.
Yeah.
Saw the movie Monday night. The movie ended. Turned to Steve Ullman on my left. Turned to my husband on the right. Van and Jomi were next to Adam. First thing I said to all of them was, that was great. Not like good or okay. Like my real-time reaction was like, I really had fun watching it, even though in real time there were things that were really gnawing at me, which put a pin in that for a second. Still, I think in part because the crowd, as mentioned, was so swept up in the movie. It was, to your point about the monoculture, it gave me that feeling that, and I say this owning the fact that I'm a real, like, you were going to have to drag me out of my house.
Yeah.
Like against my will, basically.
Right.
I just really prefer to be home. But like when I am actually out in the world, communing with my fellow BAM, and we're all like, boy, it's fun to go to the movies. That's just such a cool, great feeling. And Monday gave me that jolt.
Do you know what's an even higher data point of that for me? Adam went with you?
He did. Yeah, he did. I know. He watched the first one for the first time a few weeks ago when my mom and stepdad were in town.
Yeah.
And he really, really liked it. So he was like, I often ask him if he wants to come to screenings, and he's like,
yeah.
You know, he, as you know, is a movie obsessive.
Oh, yeah,
he's like a DVD collector, but he's like, I'll watch it at home. Or like, if you go again for pod prep a few days after you see the screening, I'll go with you then. Right. Hard to drag him out on a Monday night typically, but he was like, yeah, I'll go. And so it was just like that feeling in the room. Out in the lobby, saw Rosie and Joelle from X-Ray Vision. And they're like, what'd you think? I'm like, that was great. Like, that was just, I texted Sean and Juliet and I was like, Wicked slapped. I will keep their responses private, but they did not agree. I mostly said that because I was like very excited to I just knew that there was no question that he would find it abhorrent. And so I was like, I can't wait to get into it on text with Sean, and he did not disappoint me.
Juliet Littman very rarely DMs me about anything. And when she saw that I saw Wicked, she's like,
she was going through it.
Get my takes off for you. Yeah,
she was going through it. Everyone can hear Juliet's full take on the film on Big Pick. She joined Sean and Amanda to talk about it this week. She is a huge, the musical is like a huge part of her life. And she was very disappointed by this movie. So while saying to folks, that was great, I did also say, but I have some notes. They primarily fell into a couple buckets. Pacing, I thought was a real problem in the movie. And even in real time when I was swept up, right? But I just thought, you've already mentioned this and I really agree. This is not a controversial opinion or a unique take. Ariana and Cynthia were breathtaking to me. Like, I just thought, I thought obviously like, you know, Cynthia in the first movie was astonishing. And I was like, whoa, Ariana Grande is really like doing something pretty notable and cool here.
Yeah.
This movie, which is very much Glinda's movie.
It is.
I left the theater and I was like, is Ariana Grande going to win an Oscar? Like, I just couldn't, I just thought she was amazing. Mm-hmm. That would not currently be my vote for Best Supporting Actress, just to be clear. I'm very much in one battle hive, but it seems like it could happen.
Plenty of people are saying it.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah.
But they were saying it last year too. So
yes. Well, so we'll see. But we're going to talk a little bit more actually about Oscars at the end of the pod today. Okay, so that's where I was Monday night. Then the other big thing I had, which we are going to talk about as we get into our deep dive, I think that the movie has a lot of really beautiful, poignant, thematic explorations, specifically about friendship, female friendship, and the way that we can positively impact each other. I think that stuff in the movie is like lovely. I have a lot of notes on the execution of the messaging at the end of the film that I'm like very eager to get your takes on and talk to you about today. And that like, I don't actually feel like it completely undermines the movie. For me, that's not where I am with it, but it does soften my enthusiasm and dampen my enthusiasm for it. And so when you asked the question a few minutes ago about like the dark, gritty, heavy, I'm like, I feel pretty strongly. I also see this as a person without children. I'm not taking to the movies because they don't exist. I feel like the movie was not leaning in enough to the tragedy and horror of the choices that the characters have to make at the end, and didn't have enough self-awareness about its own moral.
That's kind of the thing, is like it was trying to have it both ways.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? That's the main problem, is like, yes, it was darker, but also trying to like add song and dance numbers and like a bunch of CGI animals so to distract you from
like flying lemur though.
Dropping houses on people.
Yeah. So like I want it. We'll definitely get into that more, but I'm kind of like, does the movie even understand its own message? Is like a genuine question I have. And on Tuesday, that was all I could think about. So Tuesday, I was like,
the notes started creeping in. Yeah.
The respective kind of calibration of enthusiasm and notes really swung for me once I was outside of my own little bubble, the bubble of the joy of seeing it with other people.
Yeah.
Then I was like, we talk about this a lot, both in our, just private discussions with each other and sometimes on the pod, like, sometimes you see something for the first time, you're just processing it. We both really like to have the opportunity to go revisit something as many times as we can, but certainly to have the experience to go see it at least a second time.
Yeah.
And I was like, am I going to appreciate it more? Am I going to appreciate it less? Where will I net out? I really had a good time watching it again. So that was interesting to me. So I'm having this experience where like when I am consuming it in real time, I am enjoying watching it. I think just because the performances are so good. And then once I am thinking about the story beats more, I am less enthusiastic about it. And so I would say I liked Wicked for good. I did not love it and adore it the way that I maybe thought I did when we went from 2 hours and 17 minutes to 2 hours and 18 minutes. And I was like, wow, So that's kind of my journey with it so far. I'm curious to see how it feels when I sit with it a little bit more. And after talking about it with you today. Should we do it?
Let's do it. This episode is brought to you by Target. Listen up, explorers. Stranger Things has returned to Target and the Upside Down is calling.
Don't miss your chance to grab some epic exclusives like an AirPods case shaped like a mixtape cassette, the totally tasty Doritos Stranger Pizza and Cool Ranch chips, and the Demogorgon Crunch cereal.
New items are dropping all season long, so prepare for one last adventure at Target.
Let's deep dive gravity. All right, that's my singing. You're going to sing more, I think. I've contributed now. Okay. Should we be starting with the true love story of the film, the relationship between Elphaba and Glinda, and how they have changed each other? Maybe. But we're not going to. And I use the word starting very loosely because we're 40 minutes into the pod already. But 30 minutes...
Mallory's like, this will be a 90-minute pod. We'll see.
We're going to start with Wig Watch TM and Fit Watch TM with Joanna Robinson TM, because I got to tell you, do I want to talk to you about the message of the story? Yes. Do I feel a moral and societal obligation to start with our golden boy going extra golden and the straw wig that this movie had Johnny Bailey, canonical sexiest man alive, trot out in? Yes. And I think the Bad Babies, your adoring public, demand that we start here.
What was your reaction to the straw man look reveal of Johnny Bailey?
Okay, so you know what? Let's actually quickly, I should say, maybe you've reminded everybody that you would dress up as Dorothy when you were a kid. You have this long relationship. I'll do a quick refresher too. I love The Wizard of Oz, the film. Was absolutely terrified of the flying monkeys when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
These two movies have been a healing experience on that front. Actually, I think it's been pretty cathartic.
So because not a single apple through tried to menace anyone.
I just am now I understand, for our flying monkeys.
I said apple, I meant tree. Sorry.
How they got to that place. I have no relationship to the Maguire novel. I've made my way through it here and there, but it's not something that I have a deep attachment to or knowledge of. Mm-hmm. And I have seen the musical, as I mentioned on the first pod. I saw it in London in 2007 during my semester abroad, so during the height of Wicked Mania. And I remember loving it and thinking it was amazing. And I remember the absolute euphoria of finding discounted same-day student tickets. But I don't really remember. It's so long ago, my brain is useless now.
Yeah.
Straws. Life is painless when you're brainless. And so I barely remember really anything about it. And so that was part of, I think, why I went into the first one with very little expectations, even though I knew I liked the stage production and was so kind of blown away by not only what I thought was a very good fun movie, but kind of just how it gripped me. This, of course, is a little bit of the opposite, where then you bring that hype and that expectation into it. All of which is to say, I had seen the musical, so I did know that this was what awaited Fiyero. Now I will say my second thing, which is I don't think anybody watching the movie could have failed to miss that this is where this was heading, based on not only the odd, this is part of the weird pacing, but also kind of editing style choices inside of the film that were a little bit perplexing. I think it was more baffling in other areas, but the very drastic stylistic shift in
I think they were trying to
sequence,
make it less scary, shoot it that way. I don't think they succeeded, but shoot it that way to make it less and also I think they were kind of trying to hide the ball in a weird way. But
that's the thing. It's
it was so weird.
He's clearly, if you've seen The Wizard of Oz, he's being put up where we find the scarecrow, and he's surrounded by wheat, and then a bunch of straw pops up all over the castle.
Yeah.
So I was are people supposed to be surprised by this when he turns his head? I genuinely that's not actually the worst example of that to me in the movie. That would be the wizard's parental reveal, which I'm
okay, these were the two. I have 4 or 5 top line notes, but
yes,
the 2 moments where I was
yeah,
genuine jump scare scarecrow Johnny Bailey, and genuine jump scare de-aged Jeff Goldblum. Both,
that was shocking,
very bad.
Yeah,
I cannot believe, because I know they did 100 different versions of how do we scarecrowify people's sexiest man alive, Jonathan Bailey.
Yeah.
And they were this is it. We did it. And I'm you didn't do it. Because I have questions about the weave of the CGI burlap on his face. I have questions about...
I have a lot of questions about the burlap too, but I'll be saving that for a separate category later.
I know. I loved the straw epaulets. I loved how they turned his costume into sort of scarecrowiness. I thought that was really cool. But I think the ultimate design is, I think they were trying to achieve 2 things. One, for the people who didn't understand that this is what was happening, because they were very clearly trying to hide the ball on him being the scarecrow, sort of. It was supposed to be you can still tell this is Fiyero, because she's Fiyero. But what was really confusing to me is, wasn't she acting she didn't know it was him? When canonically he sends her the message and she's we'll never see his face again. But the message he sends her is, hide under a trap door, pretend you're melting, let the girl try. I will lead her to you. I will tell her to melt you. She will melt you. And then I will come back for you. Because remember how I told you there are hidden passages in my castle. Yeah. And then he shows up and she's Fiyero? And I'm you, in the play, she's just he's we did it worked. Yeah. And she's great, let's go.
Well, maybe maybe the tone of Fiyero, she was also having it. Look what they did to Johnny Bailey, canonical sexiest man alive moment.
To my boy. Anyway, My sister was like, what would you have had them do? And I was like, I honestly think if you're trying to make him recognizably Johnny Bailey, I think is something that they were trying to do. And also try to make him still look kind of sexy, I think is what they were trying to do. I genuinely think Ray Bolger looks sexier as the Scarecrow in the original 1930s Wizard of Oz than this particular pile of pixels that we got here at the end of all things. It was like at the end of Beauty and the Beast, when the Beast turns back into the prince and she's like, I don't know. Except the messaging was supposed to be, even though I look so weird, you still love me, right? And I'm like, yeah, but not like this.
No.
I don't know. It was just an uncanny Pixel Valley.
Remember,
Anyway.
it's not lying, Joe. Like, I would like that compliment to be a little more, I just think you actually still look hot, you know?
Yeah. Anyway.
I thought that from behind.
Yeah.
You know, they've only fucked once at this point, so I don't know how much from behind there's been, you know, and
Did they fuck? She kept her clothing on.
They definitely fucked. Come on. They did
should
a
have.
duet in the air, and then they lower down onto the pillow pile in the bed. And then his shirt is off, and they're cradling. It's a post-coital cradle.
I'm just saying they didn't go all the way. They didn't go full green. They kept her clothes on. And I'm just like, if you're gonna do it, do it.
Let me say, that was like a little bit of a spicier sequence than I was anticipating.
This is my reverse take, and this leads us right into chunky knitwear take. Okay.
Not spicy enough?
Here is that is one of the sexiest songs that ever happens. And usually in the stage show, they're really just like fully clothed, kneeling in front of each other and like grasping each other's arms. They're not like fucking on stage while they're singing. But it starts with kiss me too fiercely, hold me too tight. And she says that as she starts to walk away from him. And I was like, what are we doing?
That was
then
odd.
She takes off her clothing to only put on more clothing and that abomination of a chunky knit sweater, which is fine if you're just like writing yourself a reminder note to save the animals. Yeah. But if the point is to seduce a guy that you have stolen away from your best friend, he's not yours to steal. I don't know. He's not, whatever. It was her wedding day, which is a change from the play that I think makes it tough. Way worse. That they like went all the way to the wedding day and then they like left her on the altar.
Yeah, it's tough.
So really tough. I don't think, and she has that great line that she delivers well and Idina Menzel delivered well. Like, for the first time, I feel wicked. Like, that's a great line. Chunky knitwear is not the vibe at all in this scenario is how I feel. And I feel like what they did is like, so he could like peel something off her shoulder, which is like as close as they were going to get to like showing us, and then like a steamy little kiss that they had. So, you know.
Okay. I hear you. Let me present a counter take. First of all,
also, did a monkey make that sweater?
All right. First of all, I mean, it's possible. The monkeys they're very advanced.
Chistery's like, hey, you want a sexy little peignoir?
We know that he's like very attuned to what an outfit signifies, because when he rips off his crest to like declare his new allegiance. All right, couple things. I hear all that. Counterpoints. One, this is actually just a great piece of knitwear. It's just great. It's not. Okay?
It's not.
It's great.
I love a chunky sweater robe. I genuinely do. I own several, but like this one is like, it's like so chunky. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, she's living in a tree for years, multiple years. And so sometimes you need to just snuggle up and feel warm and cozy. That brings me to my next point. Do I agree with you that it didn't make much sense when she was basically singing, let's fuck, and then walked away while delivering that lyric? I do agree. I thought that felt like a very contrived bit of staging and choreography to set up our kind of like tour around the abode that did not make sense in terms of what two people would do in that situation. However, I like that Elphaba is kind of like, prove it to me, make me believe it. I need to feel it, but also I'm not sure I can believe it. And so I am wrapping myself up in something that clearly is like a source of comfort. There's a vulnerability to it, and there's one more layer, one more shield, and I'm not quite ready to remove it yet.
Every movie needs you as their PR representative because
this is just me being moved by.
I think that's bullshit, but it's so compelling.
This is just me being deeply moved by somebody's insecurity right on the precipice of fucking the canonical sexiest man alive.
And what does he have?
Who wouldn't be nervous?
What stage business does Johnny Bailey have to do? Okay, he takes off I'm like, you're going in the right direction.
The suspenders.
Take off the jacket, take off the suspenders. Good. He's like, we're clearly going to fuck. Like, this is happening.
Yes.
And then he just like lovingly starts stroking some scary propaganda of her. He's just like,
that's not what he should be that is not what he should be lovingly stroking.
But that's
at that
what
point.
He's doing because she's dilly-dallying with the knitwear, making a full circuit of the treehouse.
Yeah.
It's just not how I would have staged that. I did like the part where they were like flying through the air. That was great. And landing on the bed, also good. So, you know.
Flying through the air, I was like, okay, we're not going to do like a surging ocean wave to convey ejaculation here. We're just going to actually rise. You know, sure. Here's my note on the sweater, which I've shared for you via text. It's not practical in that setting.
Oh. Save it for the castle.
Sure. Yeah.
Save it for the smooth stones of the castle.
There are just far too many branches upon which you can snag the yarn.
That monkey knit sweater would just be riddled with twigs and little burrs and little just like, it would just not be the look. Anyway.
We are going to talk later about fucking the scarecrow, but we'll leave it here for now because this was about fucking Fiyero.
Yeah. Fiyero, yeah.
Anything else on the Fit Watch or Wig Watch front, Joe? Anything you'd like to say about the I thought it was very like on trend, the sock pairings with the silver and ruby slippers.
Dorothy's puffy blue socks with the slippers.
And Nessa Rose.
Rose.
We had some, I thought that was like a good actual visual wink of like, oh, you know what this is if you're either aware or just looking, but also like you could probably see somebody walking down the street in Silver Lake with those on right now. We do have some blue and silver incorporated into Glinda's wardrobe in this film.
That's very staged. She wears the blue in the stage. Okay, so like the silver slippers are L. Frank Baum, like they were silver slippers in the original book, right?
Yes.
And ruby slippers for the 1930s movies because they're in glorious Technicolor and they're like the red will look really good on the yellow brick road. So that's where the ruby slippers come from. There was a little ruby slipper Easter egg in the first movie, right? When Glinda's singing Popular, she pulls up a pair of ruby slippers and sort of clacks them in Elphaba's direction as a sort of like cute little ruby slipper moment. But they went with the silver slippers. And then of course they had this like moment when she's raising Nessa Rose out of the chair and she's like, my feet, they're burning. This is not really in the show that way, but turning them red to sort of like give the audience like these are the ruby slippers, you know them sort of thing. So trying to like incorporate 9 different sort of like references of like the movie, the original book, the McGuire books all at once is sort of what this film is always trying to do.
Yes.
So, you know.
Yeah. Baby Glinda?
Oh, yeah. This is my sister's note. And I think it was a really good one. I hate saying this about children. I thought the young actress playing Glinda was not very good. I thought all the kids at the party were very good. I thought young Elphaba and Nessa Rose in the first movie were very good. I thought this little girl, very cute, not very good. But my sister's like, well, they found someone with like darling little dimples to match Ariana Grande. And she's like, and someone who does not look naturally blonde, which is also Ariana Grande. So she's like, they needed to find someone with cute dimples on whom a blonde wig would actually look kind of off. And so I was like, oh, that's a good point. Anyway, that's all I want to say.
I got to see a movie with you and Morgan one day.
I mean, Morgan works in the theater. She knows from wigs. She knows much more about wigs than I do. So, you know. Wow. Absolutely.
What a statement. I mean,
she's been working on stage shows for
sure. But you're the internet's foremost wig watch scholar.
No, that's not true at all. But like, yeah, people who work in the theater know about wigs. So yeah.
I know another thing you know about. It's songs. It's song and dance. Song and dance, a musical number. Let's talk next about something you've already alluded to, which is just the music that we were always going to get in the second act, right? And some of the concerns that already existed there, but also like a banger that you know awaits. And then the new songs that were incorporated here. We're going to hit some of this at the top, and then we're going to go through the characters. Do you think that any song in this movie, like did the For Good duet between Elphaba and Glinda meet the mark of popular and defying gravity for you? Or did even that, which is I think undeniably the standout musical number of this movie, not quite measure up for you? Where are you on that?
It didn't, but mostly because of how it was shot. Because again, when there's a version that Ariana and Cynthia did with Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel, the original actresses who played Elphaba and Glinda on Broadway. They did all four of them singing this song together recently in this sort of like live Wicked thing that they did. That made me weep. It was so beautiful. Ariana and Cynthia know how to sing this song, and they sing it very well. And that stretch of the movie is so emotional. The like when they're on each side of the door moment that already people are talking so much about, like rightly so, like all of that's really good. John Chu, who I have just so many bones to pick with his direction ideas, the way he's just spinning the camera around them for much of that song really bothered me. I'm like, can you just stop and linger on these women can just hold the camera and you don't need to. I just don't agree with the way he often shoots musical numbers. This is true of In the Heights as well, like music videos in a way that like really bothers me. I thought The Girl in the Bubble was like, we'll talk about that a little bit more. But anyway, like,
yes, we'll get there in a minute for sure.
I think I really wish the camera had just calm down and let these women emote and sing, because I think Ariana Grande is great on every level. And I think Cynthia, I think there is just possibly no one better than Cynthia Erivo at emoting while singing.
So it's astonishing. Yeah.
I think Ariana is a better overall actor, I think, inside of this than Cynthia. But when Cynthia's singing, she just touches something so primal and elemental inside of her emotionality, and this has just been true of her entire career. So I wish there had been just space for that to exist. Hold space for that, please, John Chu. That being said, the emotions of that moment, their performances, just top tier.
Yeah.
And I think before we get into the other two songs, I will say there were a lot of reprises from the first movie that they sort of inserted in here to be like, you remember Popular, you remember Defying Gravity. We're going to like pull, there's some in the stage show, but they added much more here. Trying to turn Wonderful, they added Glinda into the Wonderful number. So like the Wizard and Elphaba sing that, and they're like, we'll just have Glinda come in and she can sing it too, and like try to make that like a bigger, livelier number than it is in Act 2. So like they were really trying for it. But that's my long rambling answer to your question. Let's go back to you. You loved For Good. Talk to me about how it impacted you.
I'm really interested in that point about the kind of relentless movement of the camera. I do have that note for The Girl in the Bubble, which we'll talk about in a minute. This is an interesting thing, because this is also the aspect story-wise where I was like, wait, are we... I want to talk about like the message of what actually happens here and what the takeaways are from that a little bit more. And so my mind was really actively racing, thinking about that while I was watching it. But I was like blown away by watching them sing this together. It was just, I mean, like you said, the performances are just so gobsmacking. And this portrait and this, like the way that this song captures how these two people, friends, women have impacted each other and the change that they have made in each other's lives. And I think that's ultimately like the distinction and where the movie succeeds, is I think it actually does like a really good job in capturing that on an individual interpersonal level, and is much less successful in applying that at scale to like what the takeaway is when we're thinking about the choice here and what that means for like society. When they're on the other sides of the door from each other, the tears, the tenderness, I think the like way that first of all, the song is just great, but there is the way that it builds from just the gentleness of like how they are looking at each other, the truth and like heart and emotionality of what they're conveying to each other. and the actual real, I think, very believably conveyed appreciation that each of them feels for the impact that the other had on them was like, I thought really, really good and really impressive. So it did. I don't know that anything could quite, I mean, Defying Gravity is like really iconic right away. But I thought this was quite memorable as a musical number as well. It was maybe like the only song in the movie though that I felt that way about, which was not the case in the first film.
No, the first film has Loathing, Popular, Defying Gravity, Dancing Through Life, and The Wizard and Me.
Yes. Which are all great. Yeah.
You know? And like, that's so feast and famine, honestly. So,
yeah. The way that they say like, I love you to each other was just, oh my God, really good. Let's talk about the 2 new songs, because I think actually it's like, this is a good place to establish some context for what they were trying to achieve by adding these, both in terms of structure, length, space, making a movie, but also some of what they were going for thematically that I think makes complete sense conceptually and actually like maybe hurt because they couldn't then follow through on it. There is a piece in the New York Times, an Esther Zuckerman piece on both of these songs, interviews with Schwartz, with Chu, et cetera. So you can learn more about these. We have a couple quotes pulled today. I want to kind of share at the top here a note from a stretch from the piece about like why these 2 new songs were added, which I think is very telling.
I also think it's bullshit, but okay.
You're bringing it today. I love it.
They want that Oscar. That's always why they do it.
That's why I underlined this. That's why I underlined emphasis mine. Like that's why I underlined. I'm like, well, come on. Anytime you have to say this is like, okay, quote. The director, John M. Chu, said there was no mandate to add more tunes in hopes of gaining Oscar nominations, parentheses, only songs written directly for the screen are eligible, end parentheses. Instead, No Place Like Home and The Girl in the Bubble were born of the decision to flesh out the second half of the story for its own feature film, a follow-up to the box office smash simply titled Wicked that was released 1 year ago. That meant bringing to life character beats that took place off stage in the Broadway version. Quote, it was about, we need to go deeper with understanding where Elphaba and Glinda are in their journey, Chu said. Okay. I also agree. I think that if you have to say out loud, we didn't do this for the Oscar, that's definitely why you did it.
That's why they always do it.
Yeah.
It's just a proud tradition. And you can just admit it. We want that Oscar.
Right. I also think, though, the actually then offered up instead of reason is, while I'm sure true and a driver, like kind of an indictment, right? We had to add songs. Sure, there's part of it here that is like because we are exploring these characters and we want to be able to do that through scene or song. Yeah. But it's also like, well, we split the movies. We're making 2 movies. We have 5+ hours of story to tell. And so we've got to fill it. And that is not, is that an absolutely prohibitive starting place to end up with a banger of a song? No, but that's not the same as genuine inspiration or the need to find a way through music inside of a musical to convey something essential about the character, and that being the origin and the germ of why the song exists.
Really good point. And I also think like you could definitely cut both of those songs, and I am not at a loss for how those people are feeling. Yeah. In that moment, first thing I would do is I would cut No Place Like Home.
I thought that one was the real miss.
It was really tough. I thought all the stuff with the animals there, like the Animal Underground Railroad situation, like I thought it was like really weird. I thought it was so weird to have the Cowardly Lion do his thing twice, because he comes out in the like the March of the Witch Hunters like song and like that's the reveal of that. But he's like, I'm gonna do it here too, and I'm just like, this is such a weird. I thought it was so bizarre. I thought Girl in the Bubble was a better song. And I was like, again. The poor VFX supervisor who was like, it was so hard to do that. And I bet it was. And so like visually intriguing, but ultimately distracting from quite a good performance. Yeah. But I don't need either of those songs to understand what's going on for these characters at all in this. So they're like, we need to flesh out Act 2. Okay.
Right.
But then you ballooned it beyond 2 hours. Like, you didn't need to flesh it out that much. And there's like so many things you could have snipped out. But like, there are other things you added in, like having Bo and Yang still here. Like that stuff was fun and light. Like that, I thought all of that stuff worked.
I would have done more of that.
I would have done more Bo and Yang than these 2 songs personally. So
I thought we were actually missing a little bit more of that.
The dear old shiz.
The shiz, the shiz-esque like kind of quirk and really naked sycophant energy. Like we got a couple dabbles of it here, but it's so prevalent in the first one. And I think frankly, like the absence of it here, not that those characters are like the only lens through which we would be able to understand this. I think we would need more, but I think the absence of that, it flattens overall like just a sense of the place. And so much of the movie orients around, well, the people want to be lied to, right? People seek power. They seek a false narrative. They seek a shared villain. And it's like, but what is like life like here for anyone, right? And we don't have nearly enough.
I mean, there's a Munchkin travel ban. You know, there's a
unbelievably tough stuff for Bach. Not the only tough thing for Bach. So on the way that the camera moves and swings in The Girl in the Bubble, I think there is a part of it conceptually that is interesting to me. You know, obviously it is quite routinely in that sequence literalized with Glinda looking at, you know, the reflection of her younger self and then her current self in the reflection of the bubble itself, but also, of course, the way that she is, you know, thinking throughout the film. And I think, to be clear, I think Glinda's arc in the movie was one of the more compelling things to me. What is it like if you, from the time you're a little kid and your dream is to be able to do magic and you can't, but your guardians, your parents, your mother says to you, like, the only thing you're ever going to need is the fact that people love you. And for much of Glinda's life, that's true. And then to get to a point where the things that she actually wants are not on offer to her and how deeply painful that is. Like, I think that was all actually really interesting to watch. We'll talk a little bit more about the Glinda Elphaba and Glinda Fiyero relationships as we go. But, so like Glinda looking in a mirror and thinking about all aspects of herself and her journey. I get it. I just thought this was the swooping cameras moving through dimensionality and space and like, oh, you thought you were looking here, but you're really in. It's just too fussy and showy for the sake, I think, of being fussy and showy. And I think because it's in a musical number that is added to fill space, it's like we need to fill the movie to make it full and have 2 long movies, but also like we're admitting that we don't feel like we have enough songs to carry the story anyway. So then why like do the 2 movies? And, you know, like I'm glad that both movies exist ultimately, but I think you can really feel that stretching and the pitfalls of that in sequences like that. I thought though that No Place Like Home was a far less successful new song than The Girl in the Bubble by a comfortable margin.
I understand. I mean, she's got no good deed. I always understand the impulse to want to give Cynthia Erivo another song to sing. Like, of course.
Yes.
Who wouldn't? Just this doesn't. And they're like, oh, No Place Like Home. We really did something. And I'm like, I don't think I'm afraid you did not do something.
Yeah, I think the like very overt, deliberate tether to The Wizard of Oz there is ultimately to the song's detriment and not to its service. I think that's really probably the response that many people are going to have to it. And I think that like hearing Schwartz speak about it in that New York Times piece and, you know, Elphaba makes an enormous sacrifice at the end out of love for Oz to try to make things right in Oz. And the only way she realizes is possible. Winnie and I and the team felt that it was really important from a storytelling and emotional point of view to understand how much Elphaba actually loved her homeland. I don't think the follow through on what it means for Elphaba then to give that up was executed in a way that justifies centering that. I understand the impulse to center it, and I think it is an important thing to understand about Elphaba, but you really ratchet that up and then say, because we ratcheted it up, people will understand what it means to give it up. And that's not the same thing.
Yeah. I think especially also when she's like, where will you go? There's nothing there. And then she's like, that's what I'm going to do later. It's just, Anyway. Okay.
The Wizard of Oz of it all, though, because we just talked about No Place Like Home. Maybe that's a good segue for just another beat here on like this aspect of it.
That girl from Kansas and her dog, Dodo.
Dodo, I will say Dodo killed me.
That's from the stage show.
Very, very funny. And Ariana Grande, unsurprisingly, great comedic delivery on Dodo.
When Kristen Chenoweth does it, the way it does in the stage show is like, it's her waving Dorothy off and she's like, goodbye, Dorothy, goodbye, Dodo. And it's just like extremely funny. But like their ongoing like exasperation with Dorothy is like pretty fantastic. Like they're just like, ugh. It's always something with this girl. Like it's great stuff.
Really, really funny. Okay. I have kind of like a multi-pronged prompt and question here. I think not to make a straw man out of a movie featuring a straw man, but you know, I some of our colleagues and friends, critics of esteem and unrivaled intellectual prowess, there are, I would say, is a chorus out there of people who are like, this is an assault against the Wizard of Oz. What this movie does on the incorporations and connections front. And I would say in the bulk of those critiques, it is noted that is not necessarily the case to that extent and that level in the musical. So I think there are then people who are like, well, why do this at all? I don't really agree with that, or frankly think that's valid to say like, why take a aspect of a fictional universe, a character, a story, and do something different with it, or expand, or say what would happen just out of view in the shadows. I like that, right? Like I'm always kind of interested in some sort of theater of the absurd, different perspective and lens into a stretch of time. I think that impulse to do that in the Wicked novel, in the stage musical, and in the films is actually very interesting to me. So that is less like compelling to me. Everybody's welcome to think what they think.
I don't know that I really agree with that. Like, I don't know if that was like a Juliet take or something like that. And I don't profess to be the same like degree of scholarship that Juliet has of the stage show. But like in making Bach is the Tin Man and Fiyero is the Scarecrow and the Cowardly Lion is like all of the, like in the stage show, there's just this like big Tin Man reveal. It's not him chopping down a fucking door like he's in The Shining, but there is this sort of like, oh my God, Bach is the Tin Man. Or there's like the Fiyero goes up on the like, you know, Scarecrow sort of structure. Like all of that happens. And like, you know, and you've got Elphaba sort of like stamping on the cellar door to like tell Dorothy to shut up. All of that stuff is in there. So like, no, we don't literally see like Dorothy's shadow on the wall. Well, we do. Actually, we see it on a curtain. So like, I don't know that I agree that it's not in the stage show. I think it's as expanded as anything is from the stage show into Act 2. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay. So then how did you feel about the execution of the film? Because I think my two questions are, is it valid as a premise in an enterprise? I think we both would say yes. Is it successfully done here, or does it feel like anything in the Wicked for Good execution of the tethers and ties to the Wizard of Oz as a property, like runs afoul of something holy in your mind, which I think is how some people feel about it?
I mean, I think, you know, whoever that it is that feels that way, like I remember talking to Sean about the first movie, right? And like the idea of John Chu talking about the color grading on this film and sort of likening it to the sort of richness and beauty of the 1930s Wizard of Oz, that was a little offensive to me because I was like, that's a beautiful thing. And this feels, I don't know how to explain what I find exactly wrong with the look of this movie, because I know that they built so many of these sets and I know a lot of this is done practically and it still looks so fake. And I don't know how they did that. But so like, as a sort of like CGI facsimile of the luxurious beauty that is the 1930s movie, that I can kind of agree with. But like, in terms of like, this is like anything. I don't know. You and I are so well versed in like a Twisted Tale. This is Gregory Maguire's like whole thing. He did like an Ugly Stepsisters one. Like this is just like what he did. Dorothy is very like prevalent in the Wicked novel, you know? So like, I think that that's just the premise of the enterprise is we're engaging with this text, you know? So I don't know why.
How to reconcile those things fully, you know, the idea that like Fiyero is the Scarecrow, that the tornado is summoned by Madame Morrible. I think like the mileage just may vary for people and whether they find that like
it's hokey,
valid as a pursuit.
but it was always hokey.
Yeah.
Fiyero is not the scarecrow in the book. Spoilers for the book, though. Fiyero fucking dies in the book. So, like, if you do want him to die or do you want him to be a scarecrow, you can choose. And
wasn't that exactly the dilemma right here?
Exactly.
Let's make sure he can't die, and he's not going to be able to die if he's a suit stuffed
with straw,
or a burlap sack stuffed with straw. Who, when viewed from behind, has a very like Surfer Boy California blonde shag.
I do think we got way too much monkey stuff in this. There was a lot of monkey stuff that like, and Chistery's whole like arc is just
eat shit. Chistery is what you are declaring.
Chistery should be history. I don't know. Chistery is a character from the book though, so I don't know. But yeah, the monkeys are way less of a thing in the stage show. That's true.
Again, I found the monkeys healing. You know, I found it, I don't know, it's like immersion therapy for me, I think, to just spend all this time with them as an adult now and no longer be so scarred by the experience of watching them shriek into my screen and pluck
very scary
off the road. Terrifying. I think in general, the animal aspects of the story are not one of the most successful aspects of it, which is maybe a shock for people to hear from an animal lover.
From Mallory Rubin.
You know, such as yours truly. But yeah. I think that as a idea, as a concept, as a metaphor, compelling to me, certainly.
Sure. The othering, the literal scapegoating of a population, for sure. But like,
I think that works quite well. The actual deployment in the movie.
I like the aspect that I like, because my sister who has also seen the stage show, but she was just like, I don't remember anything. She's like, remind me why the wizard is like blaming the animals. I was like, to deflect from the fact that he can't do magic and he's just sort of like trying to create a common enemy and all that stuff. Like, that's interesting. Anyway.
Yeah, I think, most of the high level ideas about tyrants and fascists and people in pursuit of or actual control of power who are seeking to actively deceive, manipulate, and control their public. Always find that interesting, and certainly right now, very resonant, no question. The particulars of that inside of the story, I think we still have just a lot of questions about with a number of the characters and just beats of the story.
So, I mean, like we talked a bit about how important the Elphaba and Glinda friendship is, how good Ariana and Cynthia are. Like, they're so good.
Yes.
That it allows me to your point, when I'm watching them, forget a lot of my complaints about the movie or my issues or nitpicks or whatever it is, because Ariana is such a pleasure to watch. Cynthia is such like an absorbing presence when she's singing, etc. So it's just like, and I find the love story between two friends extremely important and touching and lovely. And I think about you a lot when I think about, like these two people. And that's very, very, very important to me. It's a very important that like, that is the love story of this movie. The fact that they have a fight over a boy, here's my, which is fine, honestly, because that's just like realistically a thing that can happen. But like, the decision to extend the engagement from not just Fiyero saying kind of grudgingly and distractedly, I will marry you. Sure, I'll marry you if it makes you happy. But going all the way up through the wedding to the wedding planning turns Fiyero into much more of a villain than he is in the play, where it's just sort of like, sure, I'll marry you. Just kidding. I'm leaving. Still sucks. But I said yes to every step along the way of this planning process, and now I'm leaving. Like, that makes him way worse. Also, not the first time Johnny Bailey has done that to a character in one of his major properties. This is a trend for him. So I think all of that is tough. But what I love about it is like, that's not what they're fighting about. And they have the wonderful straight from the stage play slap fight into a scrap fight.
Incredible.
And it's so good. It's really, really good. But then there's the like, when they're singing for good, when Elphaba says, like, I'm sorry for all the things you blame me for.
Yes.
And then Glinda says, well, I think we know there's plenty of blame to share.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's just sort of like, sure, you stole my boyfriend, but I colluded with your shitty dad, and I just turned a blind eye to all this like propaganda they were spreading about you for years.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and I just assumed the whole time from the jump, from the word go, he'd be my boyfriend because I'm me. You know,
there's blame to share.
Yeah.
There's some same. So all of that works for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. I also think about you a lot. And, I was thinking, not only was I thinking about you and our friendship and impact on each other, but like I was thinking about talking about these kinds of friendships during covering Agatha and like covering House of the Dragon and talking about like Alicent and Rhaenyra when they were young, and just like all of the, I don't know, it's been such a rich part of engaging in these stories together. So I really responded so strongly. It has such an outsized impact, I think, in how I feel about the movie because it's just so powerful.
When they talk about like how they were changed by each other, changed for good, I think about you so much. And I think about the way in which like knowing you, talking to you about story has changed the way that I absorb story.
Same.
Has radically changed the way that I like view things and pushed me to be better. All of these things that I really value out of our friendship, not to mention these sort of like unwavering emotional support you've given me over these years, or like all the other things that makes you just like an absolutely top tier, tremendous friend. So like, yeah, of course, I'm always thinking about you when I see something like this. But like, I think there's some specifics that feel like especially resonant.
Yes. I really had the same response to it. And I think that aspect of like having somebody in your life who you don't want to let down was like really on my mind. I was like, that's how I feel about Joe. I don't want to disappoint you ever. So yeah, same. I'm getting teary eyed. I really love that part of it and responded strongly. I think to me, the balance of this is centered and showcased and prized as the true love story in the movie.
Yeah.
And they are fighting about a boy actually worked really well for me because of what you said. I think that feels like not only to me very just true to life, sometimes people are really special to each other and also want the same thing. And like that is in conflict and it can take many forms, but like that's real. And sometimes you can want like the most for another person and then also you want something for yourself and that's real, right? So I actually liked that was there and it didn't necessarily bother me that it was about a boy because I think like you said, it's not just that. And the fact that like for Elphaba, this idea of like, does somebody want me? Does somebody desire me is such a powerful thing. And, after an entire life to that point of feeling outside and othered.
Yeah.
And for Glinda, her version of that is like less, I think, overtly and easily like empathized with, but actually also I felt quite moving and powerfully rendered. Like this idea that, okay, she's had a very privileged experience, right? And a very privileged life and has always been adored and always been complimented, always been popular, right? Always been the object of other people's like attention and desire. And this is something she actually wants. This is obviously communicated to us via song. This is something she wants, like to be at a place where you're like, this is what I thought I wanted. It doesn't feel like I thought it would at all. Or the thing I wanted, like that they don't want, that person doesn't want me. That feels terrible no matter who you are and what your life has been like.
Thank goodness is not like ever going to be like a banger of a song, but the section where she says, there's a kind of a sort of cost. There's a couple of things get lost. There are bridges you cross. You didn't know you crossed until you crossed, which is like an incredible belting moment for both Chris and Chenoweth, Ariana Grande. And if that joy, that thrill doesn't thrill like you think it will, still with this perfect finale that shares in the ballyhoo, and then she goes back into like, I couldn't be happier. But like that idea of getting what you think you want and it's not what you wanted, because actually what was real was the friendship she shared with Elphaba or that idyllic memory that they keep going back to of their day out in the meadow, So like that idea of like you achieve like career wise, you've achieved what you're supposed to achieve, but there's a hollowness to it because along the way of getting that, you have sacrificed things. There's been a cost and you lost some things. And so like what I love about that is that you have the end of Act 1, Defying Gravity when or the end of the first film, when they're like, there's the like sort of petty, I hope you're happy. But then there's like, I hope you're happy in the end. I hope you're happy, my friend. Elphaba, I hope you're happy doing this thing. Elphaba, I hope you're happy freedom fighting. Glinda, I hope you're happy sort of like being this face of whatever. But how can there not be inside of that resentments of like, Elphaba, you're making things so difficult for me? Or Glinda, how can you cozy up to the wizard who lies?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I do hope you're happy, but I don't agree with the choices you're making. And so like having all of that sort of be represented by this fight over Fiyero is like, it works fine for me,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree. I think also I really relate to what you just said. And that was very, very top of mind for me watching Glinda's journey in this movie. And just like, I don't want to be like too cynical or nihilistic or bleak, but like, I do have moments where I'm like, is it possible to be happy? Like truly, truly happy? You think about that stuff all the time because like, that's just part of the human experience. A part of being alive is that you are constantly moving in and out of some sort of relationship with your own ambition or your own sense of longing and your own view of what will be satisfying, and then either feeling like that is elusive to you and that's painful, or achieving it and attaining it and realize that it didn't make you happy at all. And that's a horrible feeling, right? And that's like, that's life a lot of the times. So yeah, I thought that was captured through Glinda, like, and through her experience in this film in a way that I found compelling to watch.
I think all of that being wrapped in like Ariana's like 2-inch long eyelashes,
oh my God,
and like, her injected lips and like the pink confections that she wears in nearly every scene, like all, it's the perfect encapsulation of all of the sort of hollow perfection that she has achieved. Yeah. So
my single favorite, I think, performance beat from her in the movie, even though I had such a strong response to For Good and thought that was so moving, that moment, the engagement, the public engagement with Fiyero, and that moment where, we're pretty tight on their profiles. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'll do it if it'll make you happy. It's just like, it would make you happy too, right? And, really starting to confront that is not how he feels about it. And is that realization on delay? It is. But like, I just felt that so deeply.
You know me, I'm always happy.
I'm always happy. Brutal, savage. Tough. Like that was really just tough. so painful. And then the, not being able to like keep the damn clothes, like choking out he loves her because it is so undeniable at that point. And the only way that she can process her pain that this person she thought she wanted to spend her life with just pulled a gun on her is because it's not something she can ignore anymore, that these are two other people who want to be together and they're people she cares about. Could they have been a throuple? I guess is something that we should think about.
Yes.
Jo, anything for you that you want to say about like the takeaways at the end and the messaging, this idea has been present in the story since part one. The best way to bring folks together is to give them a real good enemy. That's been here the whole time, right? Elphaba saying they need someone to be wicked so that you can be good. How does that sit with you as a message and a takeaway, and the fact that the characters get to this point, and how much of it is the core outcome versus maybe what the movie does with that in terms of parsing?
I mean, is this not the ending of The Dark Knight?
But not as successfully conveyed. Here's what
I don't like.
Yeah.
Unlimited together, we're unlimited. And then Elphaba says, limited, look at me. Just look at me, I'm limited. So this idea that like, I'm limited because my skin is green and I'm the Wicked Witch. They will not take me seriously. It has to come from you, you beautiful, thin, blonde person. Like, they will hear it from you. Your love of the animals, they will hear me save the animals written in red, crayon on my wall. They will not listen to, et cetera, et cetera. On the one hand, sure, like, propaganda works both ways and we can like discuss how messaging is best appropriate and blah, blah, blah. But this idea that like the woman who has been working outside the system has to like go away into the desert in order for the kingdom to be united. I don't like that as a messaging. If she's like, I'm tired, I don't want to fight anymore. I've been fighting my whole life. I'm done. Like I have a lot of room for that as like an idea of like, you know, there are various marginalized people in our world that are just sort of like, I'm exhausted and I don't feel like I should be the only one fighting. And I get that. But like, they'll never listen to someone like me is not the message I want sort of conveyed around, and it can only come from a Glinda is not the sort of message that I really love. So like, why not together? Why not, you know, et cetera, et cetera? Well, you can't have that because then the ending of The Wizard of Oz doesn't make sense.
Right.
But since we're writing fan fiction anyway, why not? What I think is interesting, I forwarded this this email to you before we started recording. I really felt like they were setting up a sequel at the end of this movie in a way that I don't feel like the play does.
Yeah.
The Gary Maguire books are so different, so it's sort of like impossible to sort of predict what could come. And Stephen Schwartz basically said to the Ankler, like, Winnie Holtzman and I have been talking about like not directly a sequel, but an adjunct idea, just sort of like, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about, to be honest with you. But he's basically like, a good idea hasn't presented for us to do a sequel. But here's what I think. I think the dollars will do a lot of talking, and the studios will do anything they can to get Wicked 3. And if it's like Wicked 3, Elphaba going back, how do we get Dorothy the fuck out of here or something like that? I don't know what it's going to be. But like, if this is the middle of a trilogy, a Dark Knight ending so that we can get the Dark Knight Rises. Dark Knight Rises is different. Dark Knight Rises is I'm done fighting. I'm going to go enjoy a cappuccino and say hi to Michael Caine, like, you know, at a cafe. That's a different ending than the Dark Knight being like, they need an enemy. So I will, you know, sacrifice myself for that. So I don't love actually the messaging at the end of this story. No, that's a long way of saying that. So
I'm really bumping on it.
Yeah.
Like, because I think that for all the reasons you just said, and I think that there's like so much of the story and the heart of it and the like chorus of believing in yourself and shifting perspective and learning to appreciate people for who they are and not for who you think they are. Like, that's so empowering and like such a story of acceptance and encouragement and belonging. And I think that like the primary driver of that getting to a point of I'm defeated, I'm tired, it's too hard, it's not happening. I'm with you. Like, I think there's a version of that I have a lot of space for. I think it has to be presented as a real lament, though.
Yeah.
As like an active tragedy that is the outcome.
Right.
And I don't think that is the tone here.
There's a line from the stage version of Wonderful that is not in the movie version that I really like, when the wizard's trying to convince Elphaba to come back and work with him.
Yeah.
Before she discovers CGI animal Doc Howe, like in his basement or whatever. But he says, Elphaba, the most celebrated are the rehabilitated. At longest received you, long overdue, Elphaba, the most celebrated are the rehabilitated. This idea of like, everyone loves a comeback story. You know what I mean? Like that is like, from a PR perspective, what can Glinda do, you know, to like rehab Elphaba's persona? What can she use her power for that? So that Elphaba can stay in Oz, which apparently means so much to her that she sang a whole song about it.
Right.
And, you know, in both the show and the movie, it's like we have to lie to Glinda. Glinda's not even allowed to know we're alive. We have to lie to her so that we could be safe. Well, I support that. But if Glinda's now the most powerful person in Oz, which it seems like she is, like, is there not room for a different ending?
Yeah. And like, I think Elphaba... showcasing that Elphaba is carrying maybe like multiple truths with her in that moment, right? That the despair of having to leave this place that she just has conveyed to us time and again means so much to her, but also that there is something welcome about marching forward into a different kind of safety and peace.
Yeah.
But then to the Glinda point, like, I do think that when Glinda welcomes the animals back and like is championing the commitment to just trying to be better, to try to do a little more tomorrow than you did today, that's like meaningful. But I can't tell you how badly both times I saw the movie, I just wanted Glinda to say out loud to all of those people there burning the
effigy
Wicked Witch
of her best friend.
effigy. Like, I knew her at school, and guess what? She changed my life, and you guys are wrong. And I am not necessarily going to blow up her spot that she's like gone off because she doesn't know, but I'm not going to let you think that she's the common enemy, actually. That's not something I can accept or carry.
I mean, especially when it was so easy for Glinda to turn the table on the animal propaganda like that. She's like, just kidding, everyone come out. And everyone's like, all the munchkins who have been like, fuck the animals are like, yeah, animals are so cute, right?
Right.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. In the book, the ending is much sadder and horrible and and death ridden. Okay. So if they're like, we want a happy ending for Elphaba and Fiero. Fiero lives, Elphaba lives, they run off together. And on the stage show, it's just sort of like, let's go. And you can imagine whatever that looks like.
Right.
I think it was a mistake to show them trudging through the gray wastelands of Oz. As much as I like the commitment to the actual map, we got a quadling shout out from Bo and Yang's character, and the quadlings are such an interesting part of the original Oz book, so I love that they got a shout out in this. But like, you don't need to commit to the wasteland deserts and just think about Elphaba and Fiero trudging through the gray windy deserts where there's no foliage for the rest of their lives. Like, that's not, if you're gonna do a happy ending, don't end with sad trudging. I don't know. That would just be my note.
We could have ended with another fuck fest. I'd like to now ask you some questions about their love life moving forward.
Please do.
I have a lot of questions. I have some ideas.
I don't want any of my ideas. I want all of your ideas about what it's like to have a fulfilling sexual relationship with a man made of straw.
Okay. So my first question is, you know, a lot of the canon of how the scarecrow walks is like, we take a step and we sort of like flop over, right? The ankles aren't holding up to a footstep. So I have some questions about
everything floppy.
Yeah.
Is that your question?
Yeah, that's my first question, is just like, how stiff is this straw getting, right? But my second question then becomes, can we know we can move the straw around. Like, think of when Scarecrow's chest is kind of flattened. So can we pad out and do a little extra stuff?
I'm thinking of like a mini, not a bale of hay, not like a square bale of hay, but like sort of like when when you reap a field,
sure,
and they gather everything and sort of make a sort of cylindrical shape out of
exactly.
it.
Yes, exactly.
So you want to bale that straw, not in the way that I might be thinking about it, and fill it out. Make sure it is a girthy bale, but maybe you need some
dense,
some twining, some structure to it to make sure that it is,
right. We need to achieve some density and some structural integrity. The twining.
What is it attached to?
Well, the twining kind of gets me to my next question, though, because listen, the burlap sack, I just have some abrasion risk concerns about fucking Fiero as the scarecrow. I do. But here's where I very quickly got in thinking it through.
Oh, you're so smart. You're an innovator. Yeah.
Ready-made textural variants. It's not the worst thing, okay? So
ribbed for her pleasure
is exactly what I was thinking. We just kind of do we have a built-in ribbed for her pleasure situation here? We don't even need the ribbed condoms. We just need some sort of lubricating, smoothing agent to avoid some really tough skin-on-skin contact. And then I think we're set. But I also want to make an observation.
Please.
We've got our straw-centric questions. We've got our burlap sack-centric questions. I am compelled to note the tongue is still there.
Yeah, but like, again, abrasions, sort of like like because the surrounding fascia is burlappy.
That would be
like thigh burn. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
that would be a risk. But like, you could probably take care of that with some like inventive.
Here's a question I have. Do you feel like the people who thought the way in which the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, Dorothy, and the Cowardly Lion are employed in this movie was an abomination to the original story? How do you think they feel about this conversation?
Heard.
Seen
and heard.
Known.
Understood. All right, thank you for that. Anything else on the Fiera front that we haven't hit that you'd like to talk about, or should we hit our dear Nessa Rose for a minute here?
I gotta say, Johnny Bailey, I love everything that's happening for you. I did not like the Jurassic Park movie you were in this year. That was very bad. So make better choices. But you seem to be making some great choices, and I wish you well.
Nessa Rose, tell me everything on your mind about Nessa Rose.
That house. What an insufferable person.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Do I
have some empathy for Nessa Rose? Obviously. But like her absolute refusal to see everything that her sister has ever tried to do for her. The way in which she blames Elphaba for Bach turning into Tin Man when she's the one who like removed his heart. Now, here's Elphaba's real guilt in that moment. Just not snatching that book away from her sister when she opened it. Yeah. Take the Grimoire away from her. She has no business.
It's a good note.
Nessa Rose she's terrible in the play, and then they added her like the Munchkin travel ban aspect, the animal travel ban aspect, which is like an additive, just horribleness from Nessa Rose is I was glad when she was gone. Sorry.
Glad that she was crushed by a house. What a take.
Drop that house, man.
Drop that house. Incredible take from you.
Madame Morrible had some good points.
Some of the Madame Morrible platform is working for you. This relationship, we really just needed a few more beats with these characters. Like this was...
You wanted more time with Nessa Rose?
Well, I guess I don't feel like I can make that case to you right now after you just said you were glad that a house dropped on her and crushed her to death. I don't feel like I'm going to sway you with that argument, but I do think that we their history together, their relationship as siblings, their relationship as friends, building toward in general, I thought that No Good Deed and Elphaba reflecting on her own motivations or her own relationship to the things that she has done was really interesting. In this scene with Nessa Rose, I don't know. I just wanted to feel, obviously it's intentional text that they're absent in each other's lives at this point, but I wanted to feel a little bit more of the resonance of that history than I did in that moment. I did think that Insult Tin Man was iconic though. I think I might be in the minority with this take, but I thought this was pretty fun. Bach has been kept prisoner. He's been Munchkin napped, so that's fucked up.
Absolutely.
And that's a terrible thing has happened to him. Has he handled it well? No. And that's true for a lot of the characters of the choices that they have made and the things that they've done. Is Nessa also a fascist? Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of people in power in Oz are fascists. That's all deplorable. Tin Man, just the real extreme witch hunting heel turn for Tin Man is one of the more, I think, kind of conceptually compelling bits of we're playing with the text.
Yeah.
So that's interesting to me.
I was in love with a girl and the witch turned me into this is sort of the way the story should go. Right.
Yeah.
And if that girl is Glinda who never even knew your name. And if it wasn't Elphaba, it was actually Elphaba trying to save you from her shitty sister, what her shitty sister did to you, then, did Elphaba, but also, is the real villain of this whole thing, and this is my friend Amy's point, the Grimoire. The way that the Grimoire is you don't get to know what you're saying, you just get to sort of I'll open a page for you and surprise, the tea service is now a man. Like, it's some questions.
I am watching people in these movies interact with the Grimmery, and I'm just waiting for young Tom Riddle to emerge. Like, that is so strongly the vibe from the Grimmery. It cannot be trusted, clearly.
No.
I think actually, like, that is, I thought everything in that sequence with Nesteros was very rushed. I think the beat where like she's looking at herself in the mirror and singing and belting was like, I felt myself leaning into the screen. But then it's like very quickly we're getting to like Wicked Witch of the East. On the Elphaba front, though, I was kind of shook. Yes, Nessa Rose irresponsibly reads a spell incorrectly from a book that is leading everybody to terrible outcomes. All that's true. Elphaba tries to prevent Bach's heart from shrinking out of existence. Can't die if he doesn't need a heart. Tin Man, here we go. It's a solve. Okay. The cold, detached way that Elphaba processed turning Bach, a classmate of hers and a friend of hers, into the Tin Man, I thought was harrowing. And I don't quite think that the reflection that I enjoyed and found compelling inside of No Good Deed quite covered that. Like, is that enough self-reflection and guilt for what has happened here? Because there's a difference to me between I'm parsing my own motivation and what I want and what I'm seeking versus, oh my God. Like, I think with the Fierro stretch, we did get a like, what am I chanting moment, which felt necessary.
Yeah.
But like, let me ask you this. You've said which part of a friend you would eat if lost in the wilderness and forced to turn to cannibalism. So let me ask you another question about friendship. If you, motivated as you might be to spare a friend from mortal peril, in the heat of the moment, in the rush of the Grimmery, turned that friend into Tin Man, would you like say sorry? Would you say something
Maybe
more
she
than
did.
like...
We don't know. It was behind closed doors.
Okay,
she
so
might have been like,
you should go real like, I blew that one. I'm really sorry.
But did
Bach.
she blow it? Because like she was just trying to stop him from dying. Nessa Rose is the one who blew it, and she tried to fix it,
and yet
did not fix it very well.
Taught us was there's blame to go around.
There's plenty of blame to share.
Okay, so you would turn someone you would turn a friend into the Tin Man, and you would feel okay about it. And then you would drop a house on Nessa Rose. Got it. I'm current. I'm caught up.
Am I the villain of Wicked for Good? Bach sucks. I don't know. Like, that guy sucks. He did not deserve to be held captive, obviously. For years. Because Nessa Rose, you know who sucks worse than Bach? Nessa Rose. So Bach making his whole entire personality, I really want Glinda, who wants nothing to do with me, is tough to root for, but still I root for him to get out of Nessa Rose's house. So,
oh, man. Cowardly Lion?
What are your thoughts on the Cowardly Lion?
I just think it's an absolute travesty to have Coleman Domingo in your cast and have 2 lines. Travesty. Okay.
That's strike 2 for the Coleman Domingo filmography in 2025.
in the last 2 weeks. Can we stop wasting Coleman Domingo, who is one of the great gifts in our lives?
Worry. Euphoria season 3 is coming, so there's
that's
there's
right. Okay, we already talked about the animals. Let's talk about the other villains. Madame Morrible, the Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Right.
Where are you on?
I have a little more salt to go around. I will just say this.
Tell me.
To the beautiful Oscar-winning actress, Michelle Yeoh, don't ever let John Chu make you sing again. Don't ever let it happen.
Yeah.
You don't deserve that. But I will say the scene where she presents the bubble to Glinda and she is so over Glinda and she hates her so much was really funny. So great job, Michelle Yeoh. That was really good.
The withering scorn.
So the constant eye rolls. Really, really good.
Dolt. Very good. Good stuff. I guess, we talked already about like the not particularly successful fatherhood reveal, where that came in the movie, how it was done, the de-aging, all of it. Anything else on the wizard front that that you want to talk about?
Other than the 9 Jeff Goldblum Oz-centric commercials I was served in front of my screening, did you get any of those? There was a Traders commercial. There was a Samsung smart home commercial or something. The Comcast. It was Comcast with like his actual son. I just got a lot of Jeff Goldblum.
I'm going to be really honest. No commercials in front of the screening. When I went last night, there were a ton of commercials. I was not paying attention to them. I was eating a movie theater hot dog, which I did text you about after because I was like, am I going to be okay for the pod tomorrow? And I was scouting to see if there were other open seats because I was sandwiched between two sick people, which I was very stressed about. And third detail that I had not yet shared with you. You had heard me bitch about those other two things already. Thursday Night Football. I had 3 players going in Thursday Night Football, including Josh Allen. I am currently in 7th in the Ringer League. Okay. Only 6 teams make the playoffs. He was playing. I did not look at my phone once the movie started, but I was tracking
that's fine.
My fantasy score while the commercials were playing.
And I support that.
Yahoo app in one hand, a cinema hot dog in the other.
Cinema.
And then I moved on to my popcorn and my Haichu fantasy pack.
You're a true American, and I love that about you. But I think that's fine. Taking your phone out before the movie, not during the movie, obviously.
I think it's appalling to take your phone out during the movie. Yeah. Unless you have really...
It's repulsive.
The low... You got to keep your brightness low.
Unless you found a deserted theater and wish to watch Tron Ares.
Screen cover.
And then, no low, no screen cover. None of that. No.
I mean, you shouldn't do it at all, but if you're going to do it, you cannot have your brightness up. That's just unconscious.
Just don't do it at all. Or just don't do it at all.
What about the glow of a message on a watch? Now, I do not have one of those watches, but you do. So do you turn it off? How far does the etiquette extend for you? Be honest.
I don't
be honest.
Want to admit to you the fact that I don't know how to do that.
So I have a work tech thing to slack you about after this. It's a helpful one. I'm sending you a helpful note about something. Reminder. No, it's going to be good. You're going to be excited. Now I just have to actually remember to do it after saying I was going to do it.
I hold my hand over my wash face when I'm in the movies. I can put it on airplane mode. I just don't know how to. I'm sorry. I just need to read the manual on how to.
You hold your hand over your wrist the entire movie?
Yeah, pretty much.
What about snacks?
And I'm not a cinema snacker the way that you are. What I should do is just take my watch off and put it in my bag. And sometimes I do that. Sometimes I just take it off and put it in my bag. What I really should do is learn how to turn it off, but I don't know how to do that right now. So let's just not remind people how tech inept I am that I need a slack from you later on about something.
Oh God. Okay.
This has been a real tough moment for me. This has been a real Joanna has aged out of the technology moment of like me having to admit I don't know how to turn off my smartwatch.
I mean, I'm with you, honestly. I'm like afraid to download the new iOS because I'm just like, what won't I understand about the new systems? Oscar chances. Prognosticate for us. Okay, so some context. The 2024 Part 1, Wicked, netted 10. I repeat, 10. Academy Award nominations. Here's what they were. Best Picture. Best Actress for Cynthia Erivo. Best Supporting Actress for Ariana Grande. Best Costume Design. Best Film Editing. Best Makeup and Hairstyling. Best Production Design. Best Original Score. Best Sound. Best Visual Effects. It won 2 of the 10. Best Costume Design and Best Production Design. It's early still. Yeah. But what's the forecast? Is there a tornado? Is there a cyclone spinning on the Oscar
in the weather?
Change in the weather. What do you think? Are we still looking at Best Picture nomination?
I think it could easily get in the bottom of the 10 nominees for Best Picture. I think it's going to depend entirely on how much money it makes.
Okay.
And I expect it's going to make a ton. Is it going to be, if it's as big as Wicked was, I think we're going to see a lot of nominations. If this sort of like the critical buzz of like, this isn't very good catches on and other people, agree, stuff like that, then I still think Ariana Grande is getting nominated. No matter what, I think she's getting nominated.
No question.
I think one of these dumb songs is going to get nominated because they want Ariana Grande into the review to sing at the Oscars. Though they probably could get them to do that even if they don't nominate the song. I don't know that it's going to win in these like costume design, production design categories again, only because they've got stuff like Sinners and Frankenstein. There's just like a number of other competitors this year that are a little, but knocking down the door, though I would have given those a worse than Nosferatu last year. So I think you're gonna see it, but I don't think it's gonna be the same as it was last year, where we were like, could this win Best Picture? Right. Which was like a conversation Sean and I had at one point last year.
Yeah, that does not seem probable at all.
So I think Cynthia and Ariana are gonna get nominated. I think Ariana is definitely gonna get nominated, mostly because A, she's tremendous, and B, it's one of the rankest category frauds I've ever seen in my life, because she is definitely the lead of this movie.
Well, that's my question, which, like, of course, category fraud is no new thing at the Oscars. Like,
oh yeah, but they're running
talk about a proud tradition. But this would be blatant category fraud. She is the lead of the movie. Absolutely. Do you think there's any chance she goes for lead actress? No. Yeah.
Oh, because Jessie Buckley's winning lead actress. So, like, what's the point even?
Hamnet Hive, Rise. I can't wait to see that movie.
I can't wait to talk to you about it.
Will I even be able to see the screen through my tears?
No, absolutely not. Okay. We should watch it together. Yeah. I would love to hold your hand while we watch Hamnet.
That would be great.
Yeah.
And then
go to London and go to the Globe Theater.
I was going to say double feature with Fire and Ash.
Equally emotional.
And then you can cry for different reasons.
I will say this. Update on Gift Swap.
Yeah.
I have made my plans to watch Way of Water, which I feel like I haven't seen Way of Water. So I've made my plans to watch Way of Water in anticipation of Fire and Ash.
Will you be doing it from a body of water? Will you be doing it with a whale?
No, but I'm glad we've had so much to say about Juliet Littman in this podcast, because she really unlocked something for me when she called it a planet, like going to the planetarium. And I was like, oh, I'll just get some California legal substances, watch it in the comfort of my home with some pals, and go to the planetarium. Sounds fun.
I think being high on edibles, watching Way of Water is honestly a great idea.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
You didn't say I had to be sober when I watched it. So
mix in a little of the wizard's elixir.
What could go wrong?
Have yourself an afternoon.
She's a woman of two worlds. That's why she's so powerful.
So powerful. Great stuff. Okay, anything else on Wicked for Good? Anything we didn't hit?
I think we did it. A real mixed bag. But if people have a great time with it, I'm excited for them, genuinely.
Yeah, me too. Oh, me too. Same. I hope people love it. I'm curious to see if anybody has as many thoughts as we do on how to manage the situation in the bedroom with the scarecrow.
hobbitsanddragons@gmail.com. I'll tell you this, Mark, right now. I will be forwarding all of those emails directly to you. That's your reading assignment, not mine.
I always get a little scared when we ask for emails like that, you know? Anything on the sign it with your pickle front, I get a little nervous. Oh boy, you're the best.
You're the best.
Thank you to Carlos Chiriboga, with us today as always. And thank you as well to Arjuna Ramgopowell for additional production support, and Jomi Adeniran for his work on the social. We will see you all next week for Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 1, Part 1.
We're really excited.
I can't wait. Truly cannot wait. Until then, my darling.
See you in Hawkins. Bye.